No matter the setup, the goal for kids is always the same, telling Santa what they want for Christmas any way they can.
I'm a baby Yoda. I asked it for a puppy that walks and talks and closes its eyes when it goes to sleep and poops and pees.
Meow! Huples cat. What I want for Christmas is I want world peace. I want that every year, and every year Santa fails to deliver it for me, which goes to prove Santa is fake. However, he might be real. I don't want to upset Louis. Okay, so Christmas is coming and everybody's making a big deal out of it, and we have a pandemic going on. So how do you reconcile the two? Well, as with most things COVID, there's been a plethora of people with an opinion on what to do.
We are very keen that we have Christmas as close to normal as possible. That requires all of us to make every effort over this national restriction period and even in early December. Some of the sage advice previously suggested that for every day that we release, we'll need 2 days of tighter restrictions. So coming into Christmas, we need to be very careful about the number of contacts that we have to reduce transmission before Christmas and get our cases as low as possible. Hopefully, the government will make the decision that will allow us to have some mixing, but we will wait and see what that is.
I can't get alcohol wine. One of these,
And together 6.
Thank you.
After months of restrictions, European governments are preparing to relax the rules in a bid to save Christmas. France is set to replace its second national lockdown with a curfew from mid-December. This won't apply on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, and people will be allowed to visit their families over the festive period. But restaurants won't be reopening their doors until at least January, and ski resorts will also remain shut. Across the border in Italy, where resorts are also hugely popular over Christmas, the Prime Minister is seeking a Europe-wide consensus. It comes as tourism officials in Austria are pushing for their ski resorts to be reopened in December. Speaking at the same press conference, the Spanish Prime Minister said the government was considering limiting social gatherings to 6 people over Christmas. In the UK, social distancing rules are also set to be relaxed for the festive period, with 3 households allowed to mix between December 23rd and 27th.
If you can get through this Christmas, staying in your own home, within your own household, please do so.
Germany is also expected to announce an easing of restrictions over Christmas when up to 10 people will be able to meet. Draft guidelines issued by individual states are due to be formalised following a video conference with Chancellor Merkel on Wednesday.
So each individual country and individual province or state over here is doing their own individual things. The thing that drives me crazy about this is the fact that Christmas is a vacation time for Christians. Everybody else, like me, I'm an atheist. We enjoy the time and a half, we enjoy the trappings of the commercial and the social Christmas. But everybody quite happily cancelled Eid and Daweh a month ago. And now the idea of cancelling Christmas, which is what we should be doing in an epidemic, in a pandemic that's airborne, we should not be encouraging at all. Even limited groups of people to get together from different households, because that's how it will transmit. And to say, well, let's reduce the numbers today and then we can have more people get infected over Christmas isn't really logical. Now, of course, some people think I will do whatever I want and I will visit whoever I want over Christmas, and I hope you don't. And I hope if you do, you're lucky, and you probably will be lucky, and you probably won't infect yourself and die, and you probably won't infect other people and die. But there's a huge significant number of people who have COVID-19 who are asymptomatic carriers and who can transmit the disease but have never had a symptom. Bearing in mind also that swabs also can be false negatives. So it's a risky proposition. This is really the year where Christmas isn't a big deal. But spare a thought for China. The Chinese traditionally do not celebrate Christmas because they are not Christians. They actually celebrate selling us our Christmas trappings. Up to 80-90% of all of our Christmas ornaments apparently come from China. And as you'll see, people have already decided that Christmas has been cancelled this year, no matter what the government tells you.
It's no surprise that as the holiday season draws closer, it's likely that this year's festivities will be subdued as the pandemic continues to rage on. Well, around the world, that prospect has left many feeling a little gloomy, including workers in China's Christmas production hub.
At the Yiwu Fuye Christmas factory in eastern China, workers are gearing up for the holiday season, assembling Santa Claus figurines to the jingle of Christmas carols. Yiwu is the Santa's workshop of China, a city dedicated to Christmas cheer all year round, with showrooms lined wall to wall and stores that deliver decorations to destinations all around the world. According to state broadcaster CCTV, the city produces 80% of the world's Christmas goods exported globally. But this year, the decorations are piling up in the factory instead, as consumer demand plunges.
由于疫情的原因，今年订单数量减少了很多。
Normally, operations at Jin's factory would be in full swing, with workers scrambling to send products abroad by October. But with international travel all but halted and no customers visiting the city's Christmas markets, they've struggled to find other buyers. The elaborate displays are typically designed to attract clients from as far away as the United States and Brazil, who usually descend on Yiwu in the summer months to make bulk orders for the holiday season.
I think overall it's fair to say that probably the entire business is down by half. I think if you look at what's happened, most of the business that runs through Yiwu is still done face-to-face. So you have big buyers coming to visit the market and make face-to-face deals with the vendors. They can't do that this year because nobody can travel to China.
And since Christmas isn't traditionally celebrated within China itself, there remains little interest in the business from domestic e-commerce companies, leaving the city's vendors and manufacturers worried about losing their seasonal cheer.
What about North America? What are we doing? Well, as you can see, Canada's sending out some harsh, frightening messaging, but also trying to be hopeful. That's what Canada does.
We are living through is a horrific national tragedy. Families have lost loved ones, been devastated by these tragedies, and we need to know that there are more tragedies to come.
We all want to try and have as normal a Christmas as possible, even though a normal Christmas is, quite frankly, right out of the question.
The Prime Minister with a warning for Canadians. Christmas will not be the same this year. The warning comes a day after Quebec Premier François Legault announced plans to allow up to 10 people to gather over the holidays. Quebec's plan includes a self-isolation period before and after a 4-day window to celebrate. It's an idea seemingly endorsed by Canada's Deputy Chief Public Health Officer.
Do your homework now, before the holidays. Then you could have some limited get-togethers during those 4 days, and then afterwards as well. Maintain strict measures.
Canada is enduring a powerful second wave of COVID-19, with provinces breaking case numbers daily. Numbers began spiking following the Thanksgiving holiday, but officials appear to be conceding many Canadians will still gather during the Christmas holidays, regardless of public health advice.
It's not just the number, it's who's in it and what are the people doing in that group of 10. Because if you're all wearing masks, distancing 2 meters, practicing all the hygienic measures, that's very different to 10 people mingling without a mask and doing whatever they want.
In the current context, I'm not sure that large family gatherings are really the best thing that we can be doing right now. It would probably be better for everyone, better for the healthcare system, better for the health of people that you've never met if you kind of just stay home and celebrate Christmas with your own family.
Montreal-based epidemiologist Christopher Labos thinks telling Canadians to immediately stay at home as much as possible and also talking about gathering for the holidays is mixed messaging. He says Canadians who choose to meet better be ready to face the consequences come January.
But to be fair, Dr. Tam, people have done an incredible job for 9 months. There is legitimate COVID fatigue. The Prime Minister has already said Christmas is in jeopardy. I'd love your view if you think Christmas is in jeopardy for visiting families. You know, what do you say to people who just are, I understand you're saying you got to keep listening. They're not. They're breaking bubbles. It's changing. That's why we're in the second wave. Something's got to change in the message, because if the message doesn't change, you're going to get less compliance. What do you think needs to change right now?
This is a road that we must travel. This is a path that we have to keep going on, and we need that second wind. Now, how do we do that? Is actually, one, make it a sustainable thing. As I said, it's got to be like daily habits, such as brushing your teeth when you think about putting on a mask. We've also got to have more innovation in how to make these social interactions safer. We've put down some sort of ground advice and guidance.
Just be practical. People are asking. They just want to straight it, like, you're the chief public health officer. Do you think people should be able to go to a different city and visit their family for the holidays?
So every individual has a different risk assessment. So one is, what is the look at what the local activity is like. Assess your own risk. So if you are someone with an underlying medical condition or you're elderly, there are different choices that you're going to have to make. 3 is to keep your family safe, keep the numbers low. I think this Christmas is not going to be the same as Christmas 2019. This is a different kind of Christmas. And reducing the number of contacts is very, very important.
In America, I couldn't really find anything at all on a state or a federal level in terms of information for Christmas. You seem to be focused only on Thanksgiving and Halloween, and you haven't really addressed Christmas.
Oh, this is a tough one, and your kids might not be happy about it. Halloween, as we know it, could be called off this year, and that's not all. A lot of seasonal events are being dramatically altered. Here's NBC Bay Area's Ian Cole.
Holidays will look and feel different this year. The pandemic will likely prevent parents and kids from swarming the street for Halloween.
If it were today, then I think we'd stay in. The downside's too much and the upside is not enough.
UCSF Dr. Peter Chin Hung says ways to lower your risk include have only one family make and serve the food, have the 1 or 2 families outside of your social pod sit far apart, and eat outside or in a ventilated room. And if you plan to see an older parent, try to get tested.
It will give a lot of people reassurance, even though it's not a perfect test, because you could potentially get exposed the day of the test.
In San Jose's Christmas in the Park, a downtown event for tens of thousands with ice skating and rides, is shifting to a drive-through version at History Park in San Jose. Tickets start at $10 a car and you have to make a reservation. The nonprofit says it will make up for the drastic loss in revenue.
Minus the fact that right now we're not allowed to have any vendors, but we're adding a lot to the event. The event is going to consist of the normal Christmas in the Park tradition of trees, animated displays.
There's also an option you can donate and pay for another family to go as well. They are working with local community organizations to make sure everyone who wants to attend can.
This is how dozens of East Bay families burned off their Thanksgiving meal calories today by heading over to the Alhambra Christmas Tree Farm in Martinez.
Everybody needs more hope, and I think that's why so many people are here buying their trees, because we all want hope.
Even though there's plenty of fresh air circulating here, the family-owned tree farm is requiring customers to wear face masks and stay 6 feet apart from others. Another addition to the tree farm, sanitizing stations.
We have our hand washing table. We wash all of our tools. If somebody's going to use a saw, we wash it before we give it to them and when we get it back.
For the first time ever, the farm had to close their gates in the middle of the day to limit the crowds.
There's been some impatience. I'd say it's a mixed bag. Some people are feeling a little frustrated, so that makes it harder.
December.
No frustration from this family of 4 from Berkeley, who waited 15 minutes in their car before they were allowed in.
I'd rather wait and have less crowds than come in and have it be super packed. So I think they're doing a great job.
Customers can also order pre-cut trees and have them delivered to their homes.
I get the sense that compliance with CDC rules for a lot of people in the United States isn't something they're prepared to do anymore. And that's a huge shame, because science can actually protect you from illness and death, And if you decide to ignore it for whatever reason, especially when you based it on YouTube videos and blogs and what your neighbours think, it's a bad idea. So the United States focused, like the United States always does, on commercial. And I did find a couple of videos from local news stations, but I am quite disappointed at this point. The United States has not got a national decision, or at least a state decision, on what they wish to do for Christmas, because it's coming fast. So that's it. I have a definite message for you. What to do for Christmas this year, and what you should be doing for Christmas this year is what you do every other day of the year while we have an airborne pandemic and cases are rising heavily in your local area. You need to be locked down, you need to hardly shop, you need to use online methods of shopping and online methods of working where you can, and you need to keep in real close contact not only with your family virtually, but you need to keep in contact with people around your neighbourhood. Decorate the outside of the house more than you might normally do, try and be of good cheer, but remember, Christmas is effectively cancelled, and I think this is the year that we reschedule Christmas, because it is too close to New Year anyway, and I think we should reschedule it and have it on the 1st of July.
Cheers! And by the beach in Manly.
Merry Christmas!
The day layered like a summer trifle of eat, sleep, swim, repeat.
And for many, it was a truly Australian Christmas, with thousands flocking to Sydney's busiest beach to make the most of the sun and the sand.
Beachgoers merry and bright in Bondi.
We wanted to wear a Santa hat on Bondi Beach, so.
And it's always been on my bucket list.
And I'm taking lots of selfies and pictures to tease people back home and just be like, look at the nice weather while you're in the rain.
Oh, it's lots of fun. Everyone's very excited, everyone's very happy. Yeah, it's great.
Because there's nothing better than a festive dip. Early Walsh.
Merry Christmas!
Which happens to be Canada Day. So I'm rescheduling Christmas this year, and I'm going to celebrate it on Canada Day, July 1st. Now hopefully we've all been vaccinated by then, but I have my doubts about that. But Christmas should be every day, not just on the 25th of December. Merry Christmas!
Santa is taking wishes from a distance this year, with spaced-out appointments and time in between to Santatize his sleigh. Santa plans vary at malls across the country. In some, Santa will only be there in spirit. In others, there will be virtual visits and online story times.
What would you like for Christmas?
At this BC mall, Santa helped design his own set with safety in mind. His 24th year on the job, the first behind plexiglass. But new restrictions have put even those plans on hold. Still, whether in person or online, he's ready for new questions from kids this year, like how can Santa deliver gifts to our home safely?
Well, as Bonnie Henry had suggested, that Santa is probably immune from the virus. And of course, elves, they're not humans. They don't have to worry about that at all.
What do you say to a child whose wish is for COVID to go away?
I would say to a child, you have to realize that Santa, in essence, is a toy maker. I can make enough toys for all the boys and girls, and I can get them around the world in one night. However, there are some things I just can't build in a toy shop. But I would say, if you'd like, when I get back to the North Pole tonight, I'll gather all the elves together and Mrs. Claus in our great room, and we'll say a little prayer. You get that wish.
This is a Cats on a Snowy Day production, 2020.